Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time coming here, or welcome back if it's not. My name is Armina and today I'm going to focus on my time as a PHOTOPASS photographer. I was a PHOTOPASS photographer during spring of 2020. I just wanted to focus on my time as a PHOTOPASS photographer, basically what I did, give you basically the entire rundown of my time as a photographer, and yeah, I think we should just delve right into it. So first, I wanted to start off by talking about my interview, basically what happened before I came to Florida. I had an interviewer who asked me what my dream role was, and my dream role ever since I heard about the DCP was photography. It was to be a PHOTOPASS photographer. And so I basically just talked her entire ear off about why I love photography, why I want to be a PHOTOPASS photographer. After that, she talked and asked me if I had any experience with using cameras, and I told her that I did, and I said that I have worked with DSLRs before, and she basically just asked me if I would be comfortable holding camera equipment and lugging around camera equipment, and I said yes. One person did ask me if you need experience when you try to do PHOTOPASS, and the answer is no. They're not gonna only pick people who have experience. I had experience, but I also had people that I worked with that were CPs that didn't have experience. They really just want to see that you want to be able to make that magic for the guests. I think that the part that I'm going to talk the most about is going to be the training process, just because it was a pretty long process and there's just a lot that happened. So PHOTOPASS training is about a month long. To give you a timeline, I started my program January 27th and I didn't earn my ears fully, which is the end of your training, until March 2nd. Basically, before you even go to traditions, you have to take a POET test, which is a post-offer employment test. For my POET test, it was basically you had to pick up a box with a weight in it. You had to hold up you had to hold up your camera, turn it to the side, and then put it back down, take a step. And you did that 50 times, and then you had to walk a mile in an hour or less. After traditions and welcome to ops, I had the official start of my PHOTOPASS training. So the way PHOTOPASS training is divided is that there's 4 core days, which is where you're just 4 days, one right after the other, where you're just strictly learning what to do, how to be a PHOTOPASS photographer, everything. In the first 2 days, you are in a classroom type of environment with a bunch of other PHOTOPASS CPs. I think there were about 11 or 12 of us, and for the first day we literally just sat there for 8 hours, learned the in and outs of the camera, how to work with it, basically how to take good pictures, how Disney wants you to take pictures, all of that. And then day 2 we talked for a little bit, but then we actually went to a park and we took pictures of each other in the park. So my group went to Hollywood Studios. It was nice for me because that was my home park, and I got to see a snippet of it before I actually had to go start working. And basically you're split up into 2 groups, and it's you taking the pictures of the other people in your group. After we took all those pictures, we went back into the classroom, and they literally go through every single picture that you took. They give constructive criticism. Most of the time they'll be like, this picture is good. Sometimes they'll be like, this is what you need to do. It is a very big learning experience. And so then after that, for day 3 is when you go to your home park. Person is assigned a home park. My home park was Hollywood Studios, and you go to your home park and you have a smaller group now. My group had about 4 to 5 people because we had a 5th person join us on our 4th day of training. A lot of day 3 and 4 is just taking pictures out on the streets, either of you, of each other. I think we worked with guests a little bit. We worked with guests, but our trainers kind of did the guest interaction part of it. And then we went backstage and we talked about the pictures that we took. We got constructive criticism. Basically, it was a lot of on-hand training. Those first 4 days are very information loaded. They throw a lot of information towards you, and at first it seems really scary, but do not get discouraged, because Like literally I was so stressed out the first few days of training, and then like 2 weeks later it just felt like second nature to me. So after you finish your core 4 days, you still aren't night view and character trained. February 16th, which is when I got night trained. Came up at 6:30 and my shift lasted until 10:30. It's you and another girl. For me, I had my friend Rachel with me. Come in, it was me and Rachel and 2 other trainers. You grab your tripods and you go out and you start shooting. But night photography is basically the same as daytime photography, but you're on a tripod, you don't shoot handheld. And I did not mind it. I love night shooting. I think it's super fun. I definitely prefer day shooting, but like I love night shooting. I love my tripod. You cannot leave your tripod. You always have to have one hand on your tripod, which was fun. So after night shooting, the next day I had view training, and I had a lot of people ask for me to basically explain what the photo center is, and I'm just gonna take a quick detour. It's basically this location that each park in Disney Springs have. Basically it's like your one-stop shop. If you have any PhotoPass questions, guests will go in there and you're just gonna help them troubleshoot. A lot of the time people go in there to find their lost photos. The My Disney Experience app is acting up, finding character photos that are taken by the box, Jedi training photos, and then ride photos, especially Slinky Dog Dash. You can also print your photos there. I had view training, and that was from 4 to 8, and it's basically going to be another PowerPoint presentation about stuff about the view, and then you kind of sit in and like look at the people working in the view. And that was basically like most of the view training. I think towards the end we worked in there for about 20 minutes. Character training, the training that literally everybody looks forward to, but is also the most stressful training. It's a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation of basically everything you need to know about characters. Then we would go take pictures with characters and guests, go to the back and look at the pictures we took, go take pictures with more characters, go look at the back, and we repeated that 3 times. The 3 characters that I worked with were Doc McStuffins, Chip and Dale, and Olaf. Very fast-paced, but I loved it. And then at the end of character training, I finally earned my ears, and that was it. That was the end of my training. I want to talk about my costume. So PhotoPass is a global role, which means that it has the same costume for everywhere that you're working, except for Galaxy's Edge and Main Street are the only 2 different PhotoPass costumes. General part of your PhotoPass costume is going to be a short sleeve white button up, some blue shorts or long pants, a vest, and black shoes. You also have to wear a harness. Your camera is clipped onto your harness. Also had a PhotoPass jacket. That jacket was so comfortable. I loved wearing it just because the pockets were so deep. If you are wearing the PhotoPass jacket, the pockets are going to be deep enough for you to put your snacks in there. You have to carry so much stuff around when you're PhotoPass, and sometimes it just like your pants pockets are just not enough and you just want to stuff everything into your jacket pockets. You also wear a rain pouch. It's situated kind of like right above your butt on your belt loop. But I carried with me, I had my water bottle also on my belt loop. At one point I started carrying the pouch on my belt loop, and I had my rain gear on my belt loop. I didn't have my pouch with me. I basically stuffed everything into pocket. I always had telephotographers with me, which is basically just like the holy grail of the like location that you're working. Another big thing is that I always had PhotoPass cards. This basically you scan it super quick, hand it to the guest. Very important when you're working with characters. I also carried around a bunch of stickers. I carried around so many stickers with me just because when you need to get the kids' attention, you could just be like, do you want a sticker? If you smile for this picture, I'll give you a sticker. It didn't work for every kid, but it was super fun to always give the kids stickers. Alrighty, and my last main category I wanted to talk about was my location. I had one person asked me if you get a home location or do you just work everywhere. Everybody gets a home park. My home park was Hollywood Studios, but because PhotoPass is a global role, you are able to trade and get shifts at other parks. I worked at Hollywood Studios, obviously. I picked up one shift in Magic Kingdom, and I picked up another shift in Epcot. I sadly never got to work in DAC. Basically, it was pretty easy to trade shifts. I think the only rough part about trading shifts is that nobody wanted your icons. Nobody wanted your icon location for character shifts. There are very few people that would willingly give away their character shifts to work icons. And my home park was Hollywood Studios, and for the majority of the time that I was working there, I worked Hollywood Boulevard and I worked Sunset Boulevard. I worked Sunset Boulevard way more than I worked Hollywood Boulevard. There are definitely other locations that you can work at in Hollywood Studios. You have to be specially trained to work in Galaxy's Edge, and CPs can get edge trained. It's just like you need to have like top-notch, amazing, never been done before photos. Basically everywhere else in Hollywood Studios was free game. I worked a lot on Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard, and there are about 3 major locations on the Hollywood Boulevard strip, and then there's one location in Echo Lake. And then on Sunset Boulevard, there are about 3 major positions, and then one right in front of the archway that leads into Rock and Roll Roller Coaster. That is probably where I worked the most. Sometimes they will open up positions on either Hollywood or Sunset, and there's also a thing called tasking. Tasking is when you work for about 15 minutes at a time, and you are just shooting in a random location. For Hollywood Boulevard, it was Oscar's Crossroads sign and Keystone Fountain. I'm pretty sure for Sunset, it was the Luggages and the Tower of Terror sign. But basically, you do that for 15 minutes. You stand there. If a guest wants their photo taken, they will come up to you. After those 15 minutes are done, you go and get another assignment. And it could be another tasking assignment. I think the longest I tasked was like an hour to 2 hours. You could also end up working in a dining situation. For Hollywood Studios, you need long pants when you're working in dining. Hollywood Studios had one dining location. It was Hollywood and Vine. Alrighty. Okay, so I think I got through the main topics that I wanted to get through. I know that it was kind of jumbled and all over the place because even though I had notes, I still managed to ramble and just go on tangents. I did end up asking a DCP Facebook group if they had any questions about PhotoPass, and I got a few, and I kind of just wanted to touch on a few of them that I thought didn't have a home. The first one is, do you get to change the camera setting if it's overexposed or underexposed? No. Next question is favorite and least favorite position that I worked. My favorite top-notch position was the view. I loved working in the view. Every time I got the view, it was truly like a time to be celebrating. I closed the view a lot, and closing the view is very hectic. You really have to be like on top of your game. But I loved working the view. It was so much guest interaction. I felt like I was an angel solving their problems. I loved working in the view. My least favorite position is the Rock and Roller Coaster sign. I got that spot so often every single time I worked. I became the queen of Sunset Rock. After I left, I accepted the fact, but that was definitely my least favorite spot just because it's very crowded. It's a walkway, and it's usually people who are going to Rock and Roller Coaster or coming out of the Lightning McQueen show. Like, you don't get a lot of guest interaction there. The Wi-Fi was really bad, so my uploads always got super high. I would have to go stand behind the guest experience team and wait for my uploads to finish. My last question that I wanted to focus on, which was my favorite, which is, what was your favorite guest interaction? And I thought about this for a really long time. The one that takes the cake for me is definitely my last day of working. It was basically right after the news dropped that my CP would be ending, and I was a mess. And I was shooting on Sunset Boulevard, so I was shooting the tower. The citizens were doing their show. The citizens of Hollywood usually do their show around 3 p.m. and this day just happened to be 3 p.m. and I happened to be shooting right by them. And I love the citizens of Hollywood. Usually when citizens were doing their show, nobody really wanted pictures, so you could kind of like sneak glances at their show. These 2 ladies come up to me. They're like, can you take pictures of us with the citizens once their show is done? At this point, I was supposed to have a meeting with my leader, and that's why I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to take your picture. Like, I don't want this. And it was really hard to be able to just stay out on the street and take people's pictures. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be still on the street when their show was done. They're like, no, that's okay. Just come stand by us and watch the show. And I was like, I mean, if you insist. Ended up going to like the opposite side of the street with them, and I just like stood with them, and I was talking to them for a little bit of it, and they were telling me how they do this once a year to honor one of the citizens of Hollywood, Mimi Kaboom, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and they always take pictures with the citizens in order to like honor her legacy. I was like shell shocked basically. I was like, this is so cool. Like, I'm so honored that you decided to like choose me to take your picture. Like, I know that basically I was the only one over there. I was gonna grab another photographer that wasn't like down the street and like bring them all the way up. Like, I know that I was just in the right place at the right time. And then after the show was done, they're like, alrighty, come on. And it was like the two ladies and like 4 to 6 other ladies all dressed in green. And I was so scared that the citizens were going to leave and they weren't going to be able to get their photo, but we managed to get a few of the citizens into their photo. I took their picture and I scanned all their magic bands and park tickets, and I talked to them for a little bit more about all of this. I cannot remember the name of their little group, but I really wish I did. They all left, and then I stepped off. That was the last pictures that I ever took during my spring 2020 CP. I think that it was such a picturesque ending to my CP. Like, that was my magical moment, like a perfect ending, and it couldn't have been any different. So that was my favorite guest interaction. Alrighty, so after like an hour and a half of recording, I have finally reached the end of my video. I really hope that this helped you in some way. I really hope that I answered questions that you had about PHOTOPASS. I do feel like I rambled on, but hopefully you get an overall gist of what PHOTOPASS is. I loved PHOTOPASS. It's always going to be my top role, my top choice. So many great things about PHOTOPASS. It gives you such a like close relationship with the guests that you might not otherwise get. When you're not shooting characters, you are the show. Like, there's nobody else for the guests to talk to other than you. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave like a comment down below. My Instagram is always in the description of the video, so don't feel free to just send me a DM asking me if you have any more questions. I am like more than happy to answer your questions. That concludes this video. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.